I came out to San Francisco and it took me a long time to find a friend group. I came out right away and met cool people, but it took me a minute to find the people who were my people. And somewhere along the lines, I met the Radical Fairies. People I loved and cared about and I looked up to did handicrafts. You know, I grew up spending a lot of time at my grandma's house, which was in southern Illinois and was rural and farmland and super poor and 100% white. I love my grandma. She taught me so much. And then also taught me these other things that are not useful in the world that I walk through today. So this is Ashland, Illinois. Oh, this is a great place to grow up. Lots of freedom. I could ride around on my own. There were a few other kids, but not many. So I spent a lot of time at my grandma's foot. She would sit in her favorite chair and watch baseball and crochet. And I would unroll her skeins of yarn and into yarn balls for her to crochet with. And I was fascinated with it. And I would watch her crochet, and eventually she taught me how to crochet. My dad hated that. He would come pick me up at the end of the summer and say, "No yarning, right? Clay better not be yarning." My grandma and I would do laundry here in the laundromat, little grocery store, beauty salon, a bank. And then on the other side here is the candy factory. My dad worked here, and the candy factory shut down before I was born. We would play around these water towers here. This is probably the most fun place to play, lots to climb on. Yeah, so 15 years later, it's a little quieter, a little bit. So I think it's important for me to have grown up here to know that, you know, a lot of the stereotypes about poor folk are not true, right? Like, poor folk aren't stupid. Poor folk aren't lazy. Poor folk are some of the most resourceful and supportive folks that I've ever seen in my life. These are people I love and people who I admire and look up to and helped me shape the world in lots of positive ways. But these are also the folks who I heard the first N-word from, right? I heard the first, you know, some of the most racially toxic language from. Everyone around here was poor. But still there was this sense of, gosh, if I'm really poor, at least I'm not poor and black. It's just so complicated. I would be so angry with them and ashamed of them and disgusted by them. And it's taken some time to realize that disgust comes from me seeing that kind of racial toxicity in my own life, in my own behaviors. I think people across lines of racial difference do have experiences in common when they share poverty. I think communities in poverty are, you know, forgotten and invisibilized by the world around them. I think it's really important for white folks to understand their history and really mark it and acknowledge it, to understand the scripts that have been read to us, to identify those scripts that we've picked up and kind of played out. It's so necessary to see them and acknowledge them to ever be able to let them go. You know, now whiteness to me means seeing that I have real work to do with other white folks, for us to, as much as we can, strip off the blinders and make sure that in 30 years, people aren't sitting here having to make a movie about racism, right? That would be a real crying shame.